Hello, hello, everyone. Let's see who's going to join us. Please say hello and let me know you're here. And we're going to go ahead and share with our groups. And I do apologize. We are a couple minutes behind here because, as always, technology is not always our friend. And my phone was choosing to not necessarily cooperate. So here we are. Gonna find us. Here we are. We're going to share. And hey, Sherry, so glad you could make it. Thank you for joining us. There's our group. Okay, there's the team. All right, we are all shared out and we are good to go. All righty. Hello, hello. Let's see. So we do have Paper Pumpkin. Today is the last day to get in on the July or August kit. Oh my goodness. I'm all miscombobulated here. And I lost my paper. So anyways, as you can see on the screen, today is the last day for the August subscription period. So tomorrow we will launch the September subscription period. So you'll have from tomorrow until September 10th to get in on that kit. And that will close out our quarterly kits to coordinate with the die set that you see here. And I apologize. I'm trying to get my paper here. Almost got it. There we go. Whew. There we are. So for our Paper Pumpkin, the August is the Farmhouse Florals. Today is the last day to get in on that. And you do get an additional stamp set with this August kit. So that will ship tomorrow. And it will make 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs with 9 coordinating envelopes. Your ink spot is going to be Secret C. And the other coordinating colors will be Calypso Coral, Darling Duckling, Gray Granite, Lost Lagoon, Pecan Pie, and of course the Secret Sea. September, that's going to be a fall themed kit, and that is going to be called Fall for Twal. You're going to make, again, 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs with 9 coordinating envelopes. You're going to get metallic foil details and grosgrain ribbon trim. You're going to get pre-cut paper pieces and printed sentiment labels. And the coordinating colors for this kit will be Cajun Craze, Crumb Cake, Darling Duckling, Early Espresso, Pecan Pie, and Timid Tiger. And the ink spot will be Cajun Craze. And this kit will actually coordinate with one of the online exclusives, the Autumn Twal suite. Actually, I think that might be in the new mini catalog. I haven't received my mini catalog yet, so I can't remember if that was online exclusive or mini catalog product. But it is a really beautiful suite that's going to be available here in September. So anyway, that will also coordinate with the Circle of Seasons add-on dies, which are an exclusive to subscribers only. Okay. Next up, of course, online exclusives. Back in July, we did have a big drop of some beautiful online exclusives, multiple pages of such amazing product. So definitely advise you to check those out. And of course, there's going to be another big exclusive drop come September. Right now, as a demonstrator, I am able to pre-order. So with that said, thanks, Sherry. I'm glad this is your happy place. I'm so glad you can join and it makes you happy. I appreciate that. But anyway, back to online exclusives. There is some more coming in September, along with our new mini catalog. If you have been a customer of mine and you hang out with me here quite frequently and you're on my mailing list, you do have a catalog coming your way. So as soon as Stampin' Up! Ships those out, they will be arriving your mailbox. So keep an eye out on that. Lots of fun things coming. And then, of course, that's all I have for little updates. All right, so we are going to move into today's fun. We are featuring the Sweet Jar Bundle. Is that staying on the screen? Okay, that's got to go. Just a minute. We got to shut that down. There we go. All right. So this is our bundle that we're featuring this week. It is the Sweet Jar. And the fun thing about this bundle is there is a holiday set that does coordinate. That this was part of our losing things here. Online exclusives. It's called the Jar of Joy. I'm not using this tonight, but I just wanted to make you aware that there is a second stamp set that does coordinate with this jar punch, and it's strictly holiday themed. You have the little gingerbread and the cookies. You get the little snowman, so you can do a scene, some ornaments, and of course the sweet sentiments that do work with this as well. Like this here sentiment fits inside the jar, so you could actually just do the jar with the sentiment. You could do your little snowman scenery in there. You can, of course, fill it with cookies. Your snowman, you have a little scarf. You have a little bow there. So, yeah, lots of fun things you can do with this set. So it's fun to know that there is an extra stamp set that does coordinate. But tonight we are featuring the Sweet Jar stamp set. We're making 3 really cute cards with this, and I will show you what we are making. They are really simple cards, easy, fun layouts. So we have card number 1. This is sending a little love your way. So we have a little bit of tone on tone going on here. We have our little hearts filling our jar, and I had our little jar topper kind of pop off. And we have some baker's twine. This baker's twine here is on your last chance list, which we do have a lot. Yes, you could definitely make it as a snow globe for sure. So just fun. So there's that. Card number 2, we have a happy birthday. We filled our jar full of candles. I'm going to show you how to get all those different shades and colors of candles using our Stampin' Write markers. And then, of course, we have this card here, and we have our chocolate chip cookies in the cookie jar. And we're sending a little sweetness your way. So, very simple cards, like I said. They're quick and easy, perfect for beginners, but yet they are sweet enough for our experienced stampers. All right, so we're going to start with our first card, which is basic card here with our little hearts. So I have a thick basic white card base, and that's 11 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2. So we're going to bring in our bone folder, and we're going to go ahead, fold on that score line. Make sure everything lines up, because sometimes, even though we have it all scored, they tend to get a little wonky. So you want to make sure everything lines up nicely like so. So there's our card base. Next, I have a piece of Designer Series paper. And this Designer Series paper comes from our Floral Impressions paper. So this big 12 by 12 pack of paper. Hey, Kay, so glad you could make it. Love this paper. I love not only the florals, but the back sides have some really nice patterns, this being one of them. So this piece here, this measures 2 inches by 5 1/2. And we're going to get our adhesive. maybe. Oop. And we're going to apply our adhesive to our strip. So again, this designer paper, it's like Flirty Flamingo with, I don't know what shade of pink that might be on top, but the base is Flirty Flamingo. And again, like I said, it measures 2 inches by 5.5. So it's going to go the full length of our card. And we're just going to have a little border there, just like that. So it's more towards the left. And there's our card base. Next, I have a piece of Flirty Flamingo. And this measures 2.25 by 4.25. So again, it's going to go the full width of our card. About like so. So we're going to first, though, go ahead and we're going to stamp Sending a Little Love Your Way. So first I need, did I bring it over? We need our Memento black ink pad and our stamp, which states Sending a Little Your Way. So this stamp, it leaves a big space where you can put your other words in between. So we're going to go ahead and start with our black. And we're going to ink that up. The other thing I want to do is I do want to bring in my piercing mat, because again, we're using photopolymer stamps, and we all know a piercing mat gives us that little extra cushion. Which is always a good thing when we're stamping with photopolymer. Okay, so we're going to get this inked up really well. And then right here in the lower right-ish, we're going to go ahead and stamp that. Sending a Little Your Way. Cover that up. Set that aside. We're going to bring in, I have the Flirty Flamingo ink pad. And we're going to find our stamp that says love. There it is. And we're going to ink that up in Flirty Flamingo. So we're going to have a little tone on tone here. And then we're just going to go ahead, stamp that right between, like so. So now it says, Sending a Little Love Your Way. I love when Stampin' Up! Does that for us. They give us these stamps that allow us to easily, without having to do cutting and pasting and or trying to use our markers to necessarily get different colors for our sentiments, we can literally stamp that into a whole different color. And voila, there we have it. 2 different colors for our sentiment. So I'm just going to clean these stamps off real quickly. Like so. And now, we're going to bring in some dimensionals. Let's see. Yes. Looks like I've got a restock over here for dimensionals, but we have some. So we're going to go ahead and these. And we want to put one in the center because, again, like I said before, we don't like soggy centers. few more backings. Yes, you got to play with it. It's a really cute set. Okay, I've had a lot of fun with it, and I love the fact that there's a holiday set that coordinates. That makes it even more fun. All right, so now we're just going to take our Flirty Flamingo panel here and set this right on our card front. Right across like that. Okay, so there's that. Next, I have some scrap basic white. Bring back my cushion. And we need our jar. And we need our mental black. Ink that up really well. And stamp our jar. Oop. Well, that stuck to my fingers. Okay. Next, I want my Flirty Flamingo. And I want this solid stamp. And you're going to see how this works. And scrap over here. I'm going to ink this up in Flirty Flamingo. And before I stamp it onto my jar, I'm going to go ahead and stamp off. So I do want a lighter shade. And this is going to go right here on the inside of my jar. Like so. So that just gives us a little color in our jar. Set that aside. And then we want our hearts. And we're going to ink those up as well in our Flirty Flamingo. So we're going to get them good and inked up. And now I'm looking at this. I don't know if you can see this in here, but I'm looking at this heart and this heart. Those are the two that kind of line up with the bumps in here. They don't line up 100% perfect, but they do come close. So I'm just going to stand up here just so I can see a little bit better. My lighting is... Okay. I'm really having a hard time seeing over here. Okay. There we are. Again, not perfect, but it works. Okay. Close that up. Clean this off. And now we can get our coordinating punch. This is our sweet jar punch. And we're just going to line everything up. Oop. So there's our punch. I'm going to save that. Well, I have jars, scraps in all of my packages here, but that's got plenty of room for more jars. We won't waste all of our scraps. Okay, so next, I'm going to get some dimensionals. So all we need is about 2. And that looks good. Next, I have some of this brushed metallics. I got the gold. And we're just going to punch our lid. We need that for one more jar later on. So we're just going to save that over here. Okay, so for the little lid, I do want to use mini dimensionals. And I like to use the pokey end of my pokey tool to apply them. Just because they're so small. There we go. And then we can remove backing. And we're just going to have that out there floating because it popped off. Those hearts just popped the lid right off the jar. And then we want some of our Baker's Twine 3-color pack. We're going to use the Flirty Flamingo shade. Now, this is also on the last chance, but it is still available, and I believe it was discounted as well when I looked. I agree, Kay. This is one of those sets you're going to be able to reach for time and again because you can use it for St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's with the hearts. But of course, with the hearts, you can send love regardless of the time of year. But it will carry you through all of those little holidays that you may not necessarily think about. But yeah, it does work for that. All right, I have cut that in 2 after I doubled it over. And now I'm just going to tie a little bow. There we are. And then we're going to take our snips. I got my little garbage catcher here. We're going to snip those up like that and drop that in. And of course, a glue dot. That with my pokey tool. Oop. And then that is just going to go right down there in that corner by the jar. Just like so. And then to finish this off, we have our rainbow adhesive back dots. There we go. And that finishes card number 1. Easy peasy. That glare made this one looks like it's white, but it's not. It's gold. So they're both gold lids. There we go. Hey, Sue. So glad you made that. Well, thank you. We're playing with the sweet jars. All right. That's card number 1. Now we're going to make our birthday card for card number 2. So for this one, we again have a thick basic white card base. It's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So we're going to go ahead and fold on that score line. Make sure everything lines up. Press it out with our bone folder like so. Then I have more of that Impressions in Bloom Designer Series paper. This measures, I will tell you, it's garden green with the little bubbles. I like to call them bubbles. And it measures 3 inches by 5 1/4. And that's going to layer right on our card base again off to the right. Only it's a little bit wider than our previous piece. And we need our adhesive. So, and then you want 3 equal borders. Just like so. All right. Next, I have a piece of basic white. And this happens to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And we're going to bring our cushion back. This time we don't have to punch our jar out. We're just going to do everything right on this layer. So we're going to start with our garden green ink pad. And we're going to stamp the words happy birthday. Oh, goodness, I stuck my thumb right in the green ink. Who doesn't? I guess if you haven't stuck your fingers in ink, have you really been stamping is the question. There we go. Yeah, it might have to wear off a little bit. Again, let them off tomorrow. No one's going to notice. Just hubby. He knows what I'm doing. He's downstairs. Okay. So, I'm just going to ink that up in our garden green. And then we're going to go to the, let's not stick our whole hand in it though. We're going to go towards the top left and stamp happy birthday. Like so. All right. We can now close the jar, close the ink pad. And then we need our jar. So there's our jar and our Memento Black. And that's going to go here more towards the right. There's our jar. Red is yours. I just seem to get random colors. I don't know how I do it, but yeah. All right. Next, we need our jar top. And again, we're still using Memento black ink. And we're going to ink up our jar topper. Cover, lid, whatever you want to call it. Jar lid, jar topper. All right, that looks pretty good. Cover that up. And add our lid to our jar. Like so. So there's our jar all nicely covered. Now, I have one individual candle, and then I have the 3 candles. I have my candle, 3 little flames, and then I have the single flame. Okay, so for these, let's get these over here. I'm using some Stampin' Right markers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have my Balmy Blue Stampin' Blend. So for the marker colors, I am using, let's see, I have Darling Duckling, I have Lemon Lime Twist, I have Bubble Bath, and Petunia Pop. So I'm going to start with my 3 candles, and we're going to start with Petunia Pop. And using the wide just putting some color down. Then I'm going to take my Lemon Lime Twist in the marker, the candle that's sitting next to that one. We're going to color in Lemon Lime Twist. And then the next one is going to be our Bubble Bath. So again, using that wide end. And then using the Darling Duckling, I'm just going to get my little wicks. Not that that's really necessary, but I'm going to puff. And we're going to put our candles down. So there's our candles. Then we have our singular candle. This one, I'm going to bring back that scrap that I had. Because this one, I did find as I was doing it, it was better to stamp off because the garden green was pretty intense. So we're just going to stamp off. And then that's going to go right in between. And then we're going to just go back and do it again. We're just going to keep adding. We're going to Petunia Pop. lemon lime twist, bubble bath, and the darling duckling for the little wick. Oop, huff. And the huffing just pre-moistens and re-moistens your ink. And we're going to bring back the singular. I grab some of that green, garden green, stamp off. Put that right between those two. One more. Tune you pop. Lemon lime twist. Bubble bath. Darling duckling. Huff. Garden green. Stamp off. And add that between. All right, close this up. Clean these stamps off real quick. All right, now we're going to bring in our flames. And for that, I did. Okay, there it is. We have Darling Duckling. And we have the 3 flames, and they go over. Go. And then the final, the singular flame that goes onto our garden green. Like so. I can cover this up. Clean these up quick. Okay. Next, just going to take my balmy blue marker, and we're just going to ground. It's like it's time for a new balmy blue marker. We just want to give it a little bit of ground underneath, so our jar isn't floating out there in no man's land. And then, of course, our dimensionals. No saggy center, so we need one more. Move. That goes like so. And then we're going to bring back our rainbow adhesive back dots. And we're using the lemon lolly. And there's card number 2. All right, we're cruising right along. All right, so that was card number 2. We are on to card number 3, which is our cookie jar. And again, super simple. We need, I have here a peach pie card base. This is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. And we're going to go ahead and fold on our score line and burnish it with our bone folder. Then I have another piece of the peach pie. This one is cut 5 1/4 by 4. And I did run it through the Big Boss using the exposed brick 3D embossing folder. So that's already set. So that's all fully embossed. And we're just going to go ahead and add some adhesive to this. Just there. And that's going to go to the front of our card base. So that's centered. All right. Then I have a piece of that Designer Series paper. And this is cut 5 1/4 by 2 1/2. And for this, we are going to banner one end. So we're going to cut up the center here about maybe 3/4 of an inch. And then from corner to slice. We're going to trim that off. Okay. So now for this, we're going to again use our adhesive. Really. A few strips there. And then this goes right to the top of our embossed piece here. Just like so. Well, thanks, Kay. I like that one too. It was fun. The birthday one. All right, next I have die cut already from these stitched shapes. I cut out a large basic white circle. And before we do anything with that, I'm going to bring in, I have a blending brush. I have my darling duckling here. And I just want to add a little bit of, a little color to this before we put anything down. So we're just going to add that darling duckling. Then we can flip it over. We're going to grab some dimensionals. Peel those backings. And this is going to go off to the right a little bit. So it's not centered. We want it off center. That looks about right. There we go. All right. So where did I put? Go. We can use this again. We're going to stamp our jar in Mental Black ink. Bring back our cushion. So we want to make sure we get good impressions. So there's our jar. And the stamp. Okay. Next, remember that solid piece we used earlier? The little lumps and bumps. We're going to bring that in, and we want our crumb cake ink pad. And ink that up in crumb cake. And stamp it off. And then we're going to stamp it inside of our jar. So there's the start of our chocolate chip cookies. Now, you could use colors. You could use multicolors, again, using those markers and individually color these in. And you could have, like, you know, the Mike and Ike candies. You could make them look like those Tic Tac type candies in your jar. But I want these to be cookies today, and I'm going to show you how to make them into cookies. So next, we're going to bring back our crumb cake. And now I have these little bullet-shaped stamp. And like I said, if you did these in different colors, bright candy colors, they would look like candies. You could make it, like I said, Mike and Ike's or anything of that nature by just making them in color instead of in this cookie color. And now line those up. So there's your cookies. But now we got to make them look like chocolate chip cookies. I want chocolate chip cookies in my jar, not just plain cookies. So for me to get my chocolate chip cookies, I need to bring in my speckled stamp. And that is part of this set. So it makes it really easy. And now I have my early espresso ink pad. And I have my speckle stamp. Now the flatter end goes towards the bottom. And everything's going to line up perfectly to make my chocolate chip cookies. If I keep this side to the bottom and that to the top. And these are going to make my chocolate chip cookies. Is that not cool? Like they thought of everything Stampin' Up! Did. So now I have chocolate chip cookies. Close that up. We need our jar punch. So we're going to go ahead and line everything up here. Whoop. So there's our jar of cookies. Set that aside. Set that aside. Next, I need my gold foil piece here. And this is where my lid is going to come from. Okay, so set this aside for just a minute before we do our sentiment. We're going to go ahead and add our jar to our card. So once again, just a couple dimensionals. And then for our we're going to grab one of our mini dimensionals. And we're just going to put one right up there towards the handle. There. So there's our cover on our jar. Okay. Next I have, where did I put it? Ah, here it is. About 1 inch wide. However long it is doesn't matter because we're going to cut it down. But we're going to bring back our cushion. And remember that stamp that says sending a little your way? We need to find that again. Here it is. This time we're using our Early Espresso ink pad. Ink. Sending a little your way. We're just going to stamp that right there in the middle. That was probably a little too low. That's better. Much better. My paper has 2 sides, my friends. All right, next we're going to close that up. And we need our Timid Tiger ink pad. And we want Sweetness, our stamp that says Sweetness. So our card will read, sending a little sweetness your way. So we have Sweetness now. And it goes right between those 2 parts. Close that up. Clean this up. And take our snips. And we're going to trim there. And there. Dimensional for this end. And then adhesive for there. And then we're just gonna there you are. Next and final, we're just gonna take some of our dots here. Then we're still using the rainbow adhesive back dots. I'm going to use these peachy colored. There you are. That finishes our final card. Ta-da! All right, quick recap. So this is our final card right here with the cookies. So we have our cookie jar, delivering sweetness. We have our candles in a jar, delivering our birthday wishes. And then, of course, we have our little hearts in a jar, sharing our love. And then, like I said, do not forget the companion set, which is an online exclusive. It is available online only as the Jar of Joy. So, fun. Well, thank you, ladies. Well, thank you. I will have, by tomorrow on the blog, I will have downloadable PDFs for each of these cards with measurements. So you can grab those if you'd like to recreate these designs. Oh, you're absolutely welcome, Kay. I just ask that you give me until tomorrow because tonight, usually I try to stay up late on Sunday nights to do them, but I have tomorrow off, so I don't have to. So tomorrow, everything will be up on the blog and ready to roll. So hopefully this brought you a little bit of inspiration. And if you have this set, Miss Kay, you pull it out and you play with it. And if you don't have this set, hopefully it made you think, maybe. Because again, like I said, it does cover all the different holidays, such as Valentine's, St. Patrick's Day, covers all the fun. All right, that's all I have for you this evening, guys. Thank you again, as always, for coming to hang out with me on your Sunday evening. I really appreciate each and every one of you very much, and more than you'll ever understand. It means more to me than you can ever comprehend how just hanging out with me on a Sunday evening like this. In the meantime, I wish you a very fabulous rest of your evening and an even better week ahead, and I will see you, God willing, next week with something new. Have a great day, guys. Bye for now.